Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's SpoonyPizzas here and I'm back again with another Pro Evolution Soccer 2019 video. Today I'm going to be taking you through the 5 key stats for every player position and role. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss any of my future content and videos. First up is the goalkeeping position. Now they've only got 5 stats, so I've listed them in order of priority. So goalkeeping is number 1, then you want to look at reflexes, followed by coverage, goalkeeper catching and clearing. So for your centre back position, ideally you want someone with height 182 centimeters and above. Then we want to look at the defensive prowess. So this determines how well they're going to deal with nearby players. In terms of strikers or attacking midfielders breaking into the box and how well they deal with those. Then you got ball winning, so that's how easy you can win the ball back. Speed and explosive power. So explosive power is agility and it's also acceleration. So you want that explosive power to be 72 and above. Speed, if you can get 80 plus, that is fantastic. But I wouldn't go any lower than, I would say, 75 for speed, especially if you're facing up against fast strikers. Explosive power will also give you that mobility, so when you're defending in the box it's important to have that explosive power above, like I said, above 72. And then lastly is physical contact, so this is going to help you jostle and knock strikers off the ball in those sort of one-on-one situations where you're side by side. So for the left back and right back, or if you're playing a more defensive-minded left midfielder or right midfielder or wing back, then these are the key stats you need to look at. So dribbling, lofted pass especially, and that swerve. So with the lofted pass and swerve, in combination with pinpoint crossing, which Grimaldo has, which I'm going to touch on later, that's going to allow you to produce really good delivery into the box when overlapping. And then lastly, it's speed and explosive power. This is important because obviously you want to accelerate past the defender and then get that crossing. So with this player skill, pinpoint crossing, this is actually really important, especially if you want really good delivery into the box. I'd say Grimaldo, Leighton Baines are probably the 2 of the best left backs in the game. Also Tierney as well at Celtic. He's also got pinpoint crossing, and he's probably a bit better with his strength and more defensive minded than Grimaldo. So yeah, if you want that a more defensive minded left back, then I would go Tierney instead of Grimaldo. But if you want to go more offensive, then Grimaldo every day of the week. Because the fullback positions, especially if you're playing a 3-5-2, they're going to be doing a lot of up and back, then you're going to need to ensure that you have stamina, I would say 82 and greater. Now if you have a left back or right back that you want to be playing as a false fullback, so that means they sort of join midfield, they just play on just inside your left and right midfielders as well, then these are the key stats you want to look at. So ball control, because they're going to be operating in tight spaces. Low pass and lofted pass are ideal as well. Obviously distribution of the ball from midfield. Ball winning as well, because they will slot in as they're chasing back. You may find that they're just ahead of the defensive midfielder before positioning back into their left and right back positions. And then lastly is explosive power, because you want them to be agile on the ball, and as long as that's about, I would say 79 and above, that should be okay. Next up is the defensive midfielder. So the key stats here are ball control, once again operating in tight spaces, that low lofted pass and the low pass as well. So those are key, like I said before, for the sort of false fullback. It's that distribution of the ball, and then defensive prowess and also ball winning, because you want them just to patrol just in front of your defence as an anchor man, and obviously winning the ball back is really key. And like I said, with the role of the player, it's important to have anchor man. I would say if you're just going to play the one defensive midfielder, if you're going to play 2, then you could set one to an anchor man and the second one to destroyer, or maybe box to box. It's entirely up to you. Depends what you're trying to achieve with with your tactics. But yeah, just make sure that you train anchorman if you are only playing the one defensive midfielder. For a centre midfielder, you want to be able to do a bit of everything, and that's why Verratti is one of the best in the game, to be honest. Although he's not that physical in terms of winning the ball back, but these are the key stats in my opinion. So ball control, again, working in tight spaces. It's all about that first touch on the ball. Low pass and lofted pass, that distribution again. Ball winning is a nice to have, but it's not imperative. As long as it's, I would say, 75 and above, that would be adequate for ball winning for a central midfielder. Fine, you got a defensive midfielder. The last thing you want is a bunch of midfielders where their ball winning is all about 60 and you're not going to win the ball back, and you're going to find it very, very difficult. And your defence are going to have to work overtime to win the ball back for you. So, and then the last up is explosive power. So it's all about that agility and acceleration, getting off the mark really, really quickly. So for the left wing forward and right wing forward, or left midfielder and right midfielder, with a more attacking minded point of view rather than the defensive one I've covered earlier, then these are the stats you want to look for. So your ball control is your first touch, and also it also links into your skills as well. And then you want dribbling and explosive power to be high. That will allow you to move quickly around defenders, especially the fullbacks, and allowing you to beat a man. If you are going to go down the route of more of a Beckham type, then you want high lofted pass, and probably swerve stats would be more important than trying to beat your man. You cross from distance, but for me personally, I always prefer to dribble, and that's what I would go for. And obviously speed as well, because once you're around your man, you want to be able to drive into the box. So for the attacking midfielder, I would go for explosive power for that agility, that ball control, because you're going to be working in tight spaces between defence and the midfield of your opposition. And then you also want certainly low pass for those sort of through balls that you're going to try and feed to your strikers. And lofted pass is a nice one as well, if you can add that. And if you can have it as well, go for kicking power if you want to take sort of long shots on. So someone like a Dybala, a Bale, who have high kicking power stats would be ideal in that if you wanted to perform those sort of long range shots. So for the support striker role, the SS role, these are the key stats for me. Once again, ball control, because you're operating in tight spaces. It's going to impact your skills that you're going to be able to pull off as well at the edge of the box. Dribbling, that low pass and lofted pass, again trying to feed your strikers much in the same way as an attacking midfielder would. And also explosive power for acceleration and agility. And once again, if you want to score the odd spectacular goal, it doesn't hurt to have a bit of kicking power as well. Next up is the centre forward. So this is a traditional centre forward that I would probably go for. So attacking prowess is probably one of the most key stats, because this is going to determine the type of runs they make and how you're going to beat the opposition defenders to the ball. Then obviously finishing is obviously important and doesn't need much explanation. Heading is a nice one to have, but it's not essential. And then speed and explosive power to cause, you got speed and explosive power key, I would say, for that striking position, because you want to be able to get in behind your defence, and when you're ahead of them, you don't want to be caught. So having that speed and explosive power to get away, or just take a touch or two just before you set the ball, before you strike it, as per my one-on-one finishing tutorial. If you prefer target man to be a centre forward, then these are the stats you need to look for. Attacking prowess, so that determines their runs into the box from crosses and also through balls. Finishing and heading is pretty self-explanatory. Physical contact for holding the ball up and bringing other men into play. And then you've got jump. If it is a low stat like this, just make sure that your striker's height is 186 centimeters or above. So I'm just going to cover off two more stats that's really important and play a general overall feature in determining the type of player that you're going to buy. Ideally, you want your player to have 80 and above if he's going to feature in the starting 11. If it's around 75, then you're going to have to replace him around the 75th minute. So you make sure that you haven't got more than 3 players, because obviously you can only make 3 subs with stamina around 75. Either that or apply counter target on them like I do for Messi, because Messi's got quite low stamina. And then form, I would say go for 5 or above, especially if you want them to be a frequent starter, because the last thing you want is a bunch of players not on form and you're dropping them out of the squad often and bringing in the reserves. So I would say go for 5 and above for form. That concludes this tutorial and video, guys. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like the video, then give it a thumbs up. And I will catch you again in the next video. Cheers, guys. Have a great day, and I'll catch you again. Bye-bye.